monkey.
Get your sticky paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
Is that a monkey?
Where are the gorillas?
Nice monkey suit.
The help with this chimp, we may have a championship season.
Monkey!
It's like I'm talking to a monkey.
No one wants to be turned into a monkey. Apes together.
You can't get away with this monkey business.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cinemonkey. My name is Mike DePalma, and this is a monkey movie podcast. We talk all things sapiens in cinema, monkeys in media, and today I am joined by a good friend of mine, podcast veteran, as we were just discussing before, on Des Lombardo.
Yeah, I like that you call me a veteran for this military movie episode.
Yeah, I said I gotta have only the best on. And when I first came up with this idea for the podcast, I said I want to do a podcast about monkey movies, and you said Outbreak, and that is the movie I want to watch.
Well, I've seen plenty of monkey movies. I've seen King Kong, anybody, and I've seen Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes. But when you said monkey movie and you threw out some options of like crazy weird ones to do, I was like, I've got a crazier, weirder one about a monkey. And that's my selection for today. I don't know if I'm the first one to suggest a film that was watched.
You are you're the first person to pick one that, well, maybe Tarzan as well with Helen.
Okay.
But no, this is exciting. If this is the first time you're listening to the show, essentially what we're going to do, we're going to break down the plot of the movie piece by piece, sprinkling in trivia if we have any of this movie that came out in 1995. Also, full spoilers for this movie that came out in 1995. Then after that, we're going to discuss the monkey in the movie, and then after that, we're going to discuss what is the plot of the movie if there is no monkey in this movie. And then we're going to rate it on our rating system, which is monkey see, monkey do, or monkey see, monkey do. You ready, Des?
I'm so ready.
All right. So this movie opens up, and it's 1967. We're in somewhere in Africa.
Yeah. Who knows?
And we see these military boys. They're firing on an unknown enemy in the jungles of Africa, and we see these monkeys run across. I'm glad right out the gate we're getting
real monkeys immediately.
And that was something I want to bring up. This is actually the first movie we're discussing on the podcast that actually features real monkeys in.
I have to imagine that this was like a big deal kind of movie. It's like a star-studded cast, and it's like vaguely reality based. So I can't imagine they were going to go anywhere but real monkeys.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the star-studded cast, let me read the credits up the top.
Murderer's Row.
Yeah, Murderer's Row of credits. The movie was directed by Wolfgang Peterson, which I don't think has any problems, but we never know. Written by Lawrence DeWart and Robert Roypool, and then it stars Dustin Hoffman, Rene Russo, Morgan Freeman, Cuba Gooding Jr., Patrick Dempsey, Donald Sutherland, and Kevin Spacey. So take that in.
Yeah, I was saying before this that my take is that this movie has a cast that is aged like milk, but some political takes that are honestly pretty modern and based.
Yeah, no,
we're going to get into it.
This is a fascinating movie. So it's 1967. This military helicopter kind of lands in this town or this like village, and two people in gray suits get out, and they're covered head to toe. They kind of look like aliens. Two guys, they walk around, they look at the damage that is done to this town, and they go into one of the village huts, and they see that some of these people are diseased in some capacity, but they're all dead. And they go, okay, well,
Yikes.
this is interesting. And they get back on their helicopter, and one of them goes, do it. And he's like, are you sure? And he's like, we got to do it. And then they fly away, and a new military like plane flies over, and they just bomb them.
And just decimates an entire village.
I thought it was a nuke. It's not really a nuke. It's like a oxygen
just like a big
thing.
Bomb. Big bomb.
You see this entire village get like completely decimated. You see the skeletons of people just disintegrating.
Yeah.
And
An insane and just like aggressively violent way to start a movie. Like first you see like really like pretty gross dead bodies. Like not really, they don't really shy away. And then yeah, you just see like the complete decimation of like a indigenous village immediately.
yeah, and it doesn't.
It doesn't
it's
get
not,
better from there.
It does no. It gets more upsetting as this movie goes along. But then we cut to what says 28 years later, and it is 1995. I assume.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
know.
not
I
a
can't do
math
the
guy.
math. But that's when this movie came out, so I think it's that. And we meet Dustin Hoffman, and he's running around some sort of. Actually, before we meet him, we're taken into this military base, kind of center of disease control, but it's not the CDC. It's a different like army.
It's a different
version
thing.
of it. Yeah, and they make it that clear in the movie. And you kind of see them go past one lab, and the first lab is like basic diseases like the flu, and no one's wearing masks in the lab. And then they goes past like another lab that's like second level diseases, and that's something a little bit more serious, some more viruses. Some people are wearing masks. And then they go to the third room, and it's like, okay, this is like the room for like AIDS and like HIV, and it's like you need a couple vaccinations to like be okay. And then they go to this fourth room, which is just these people in these
the
quarantine suits, hazmat suits, and they're like, there's no known diseases or no cures for these diseases. And that's where we meet Dustin Hoffman and some of our other characters there. And they come on out, and everyone's taken their masks off far too early. Kind of looking back on it's so naive of us to be like, oh, this is a piece of science fiction.
Yeah, it's really interesting to watch this movie post pandemic of just like really just like complete ignorance to what pandemics are even like at all, which is weird because like SARS was a thing. And like swine flu and all that kind of stuff had been a thing. So like, and I guess, I don't know, 1995 is closer to like 1920 than 2020. I'm not a math guy, but like, it's not like pandemics were completely unknown, but like, just for the sake of this movie, they act like it's something that like, you can kind of just like muscle your way around. Kind of.
Yeah, you're like, we'll figure this out really quickly, actually.
Yeah, you like rip off your mask or you don't wear one. You're just kind of like walking around. And if you're cool enough, it doesn't hurt you.
and so they're ripping off their masks and everything. Yeah. And Dustin Hoffman gets an assignment to go back over to Africa because there's been a potential outbreak of something out there.
Yeah, all the soldiers are messed up.
Does that. He's got to settle some domestic problems at home. He's got these 2 dogs. He doesn't know where he's going to put them. So he goes to his ex-wife's house. He says, hold the dogs for 4 days. And she was like, I have a life too, Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah, classic marital issue B plot for these weird. I feel like it was a very like 90s movie thing.
No, it was. I was thinking that too. It's because this whole movie is framed and like set up like a science fiction disaster film like Independence Day or like 2012, something like that, where there's a deadbeat or like a divorced dad kind of going through the motions and he's just like, but I'm still in love with my wife. Yeah,
or even like akin to like a Jurassic Park where it's like this guy who's like, I don't even know what I got going on romantically. And then like you're kind of like, I don't know if we as an audience care about that. There's something vastly more interesting going on.
But we're gonna slow down every 10 to 15 minutes to really hit home on this marital issue.
To have Dustin Hoffman be like, God, my wife, I don't know if I should try to get her back or not. Everything's been weird since my divorce.
And he talks about it with literally every character.
Everyone. He's like, my life is so weird since I got divorced.
There's a scene a little bit later on in the movie where he's talking to Kevin Spacey's character, and he's like doing that exact thing. He's like, my life's so weird. Like, what do I do with the dogs? And then Kevin Spacey's like, we're literally about to see the deadliest virus we've had. Why are you bringing this up? Right now?
It's like, look, man, it's probably correlation, not causation at this point. Like, your life is weird, but like this is a outbreak that everyone is dealing with in the whole world, and it's not like your divorce and your weird thing with the dogs has anything to really do with this.
And he's like, she's taking the dogs to Atlanta.
Yeah,
They're
gosh.
like, okay, all right.
Damn,
like,
I'm so sorry, but we kind of got, like, the government is sort of, like, screwing over the public right now.
He's upset because, like, his wife is taking the dogs and everything, or his ex-wife is taking the dogs, and he's having that conversation with Kevin Spacey, and Kevin Spacey's like, well, it was pretty final when you both signed the divorce papers. It's like, yeah, that's pretty definitive there.
Yeah, it's a weird, like, they're trying to, like, manufacture, like, human sympathy for Dustin Hoffman's character throughout the movie, because it's sort of like a pretty charmless performance of just a guy who is, like, angry and tired the entire time. Or just, I don't know what the cure for that could have been. But I feel like it's probably somewhere in the direction or the writing or something like that, rather than just like, oh, if he's divorced, then he's a real guy now.
Also, Dustin Hoffman, big on divorce in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
he's your go-to divorce guy.
He's the poster child for divorce in 90s media. Honestly, just like throughout his career, just sort of like a marital issues performer.
Yeah. I mean, I read he did some rewrites on the script in some capacity, so I was like, I wonder if that's for this movie.
Oh my god!
So I was like, maybe that's why it's so heavily like, well, let's cut back to the divorce stuff. He's like, that's my bread and butter.
Yeah, let's hone in on this for a minute. You know, I see your weird anti-government sci-fi movie, and I raise you a regular guy's divorce.
And they go, perfect. It's 95. We can do anything we want.
We'll make this movie way too long.
That's true. This movie did feel like it was long.
It's long.
So we meet. So Dustin Hoffman's like, he's getting on a plane to go to Africa, and we meet Kevin Spacey, and we meet Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yikes!
Also yikes! And Cuba Gooding Jr. He's the new recruit. He's the new guy, and they're like, hey, don't freak out. You're gonna see some gross stuff. And he's like, I've read all the books. Don't you worry. And they're like, no, it's extremely different. And they touch down, and they're in their hazmat suits, and they're going around to the village, and they see all these unfortunate people have passed away from this disease, and
sort of like gray bodied, like lesions, gross, like
pus, red eyes. Yeah, just it's not a pretty sight, and it is gross. And Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character immediately starts to like vomit in his suit, and they're like, "Don't you dare take off your mask!" And he's just like, "But I got it." And then he takes
covered
it off.
in vomit.
He takes it off, and then they're like, "Oh my god, Cuba Gooding Jr.'s dead." And then this other man appears out of nowhere, and he's like, "Don't worry, it's not airborne." And they're like, "How do you know that?" He was like, "I'm still alive, so
because I'm fine."
Like,
which is honestly, a lot of the time, like you go through this movie, and even now, for like 3 to 2.5-ish years removed from the pandemic, you're kind of like, this is so crazy and weird. But like at the time during the pandemic, a lot of people were going with the like, well, I'm fine kind of thing.
It's amazing how much of a time capsule this movie is, and like nails the pandemic in so many ways.
Yeah, like suspiciously realistic.
It's a little too close. I felt very uncomfortable watching this. I was like, that did happen. No, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think that people don't give Outbreak enough credit for like the predictive kind of features of it, the way that they gave Contagion or like episodes of The Simpsons.
To a lesser extent, Simpsons.
The Simpsons movie where they put a big dome over Springfield.
And in a way, that really predicted the pandemic and staying inside and stuff. And so Cuba Gooding Jr. freaks out, and they're like, it's fine. This guy was working with some people building a road, and then he came back, and then he was really sick, and he drank from the water and killed like half the village. And they're like, got it. Fantastic. Wonderful. Going to take some blood. We're going to get out of here. And they take their blood or whatever, and they get back on their plane. And then Dustin Hoffman's like, what was that, Cuba Gooding Jr.? And he was like, I'm sorry. I'm really scared. He goes, I'm scared too. We're all scared. And then
I'm a regular guy getting a divorce.
I'm
Not
scared of
only
my
am I scared of
ex-wife.
this outbreak, I'm scared of my ex-wife taking the dogs.
There's a lot to be scared about right now. Too many balls in the air.
Yeah, life is crazy.
And so he goes away. They go back to America, and they fax a thing to Morgan Freeman,
Yeah.
who's like a high-ranking general officer.
Yeah,
in the
who's kind of like a
military.
half yikes.
Yeah, he's a half yikes, but we're okay with Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, we'll get
One of the
through
safer
it.
bets in this movie.
An insane twist of fate.
And Dustin Hoffman crashes this party that he's at, and he's like, "You gotta issue a warning." And Morgan Freeman's like, "We're at a party, man. Stop."
No.
Like it's, you predicted all these other viruses, and they were nothing. Stop worrying. It's gonna be fine. And so he goes home, and he argues with his ex-wife again, and she's just like, "You said you'd be back on Sunday," and he was like, "I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like I was dealing with
I was
this
in a
really
point
scary.
going away from Africa. It like takes some time.
So I'm sorry." And then he lets the dogs go with her to Atlanta because he's just like, "Well, I've lost. Maybe I've lost her at this point or whatever." And then he has that conversation with Kevin Spacey that we were talking about before.
Right.
And Kevin Spacey's like, "We're gonna go look at this disease and stop it."
Yeah, and they're like, "Well, your dogs are going to be okay. We got to deal with this important thing for everybody."
Meanwhile, across the continent, back in Africa, there's these monkeys. They're hanging out. They're having a good time.
Yeah.
One of the monkeys gets captured in a net, and he's put on a boat, and he's shipped off to San Francisco, baby.
Hell yeah.
And he's captured by I think it's a South Korean boat. I don't know what they're selling these monkeys for, but they do sell some of these monkeys to I guess for animal testing purposes, it seems to be.
It's very unclear. It's not a particularly well thought through. It's really just an exposition machine. We need to get at least one monkey to America.
So this monkey makes it, and then we meet Patrick Dempsey, who he's like the sleaziest, greasiest, like, they were saying he's like a kid, but he's like mid-20s probably.
Yeah, he's an adult man for
and
sure.
He somehow smuggles this monkey out of this facility, and he bribes a security guard on the way out, and he's just like, "Don't tell anyone I've stolen a monkey." And the guy's like, "All right,
Okay,
I don't really care."
That's fine.
And Patrick Dempsey drives across California all the way up to San Francisco. Or no, he was at San Francisco. He drives to some town.
Yeah.
And he goes to a pet store owner. He's like, "Look what I got." And the guy's like, "Are you crazy? I already have a monkey."
It was just like a terrible business.
Yeah,
He's like, "Are you kidding me? More of this product? I already have one.
"I have one, can't sell them. And you promised me it would be female or male." He needed the opposite gender of whatever.
Yeah, despite the fact that he was like, "What are you kidding me? Another monkey?" He's like, "I wanted to make more monkeys." It's very,
So
not
while
a great
they're
businessman.
having their argument regarding more monkeys and everything,
And less monkeys somehow.
and less monkeys, the other monkey steals a banana that was in the cage.
Yeah.
And starts eating it. And we're like, "Uh-oh, that can't be good."
That probably
Because
isn't good. If we're focusing on the
monkeys-
monkeys, it's probably not a good sign.
And then the other monkey scratches the pet store owner, the monkey that they brought in. And then Patrick Dempsey's like, "Fine, I'll take the monkey." And he puts it back in his car. And he starts driving down the highway or whatever. And the monkey spits at him.
Yeah.
And it gets in his mouth. And he's like, "Ugh, monkey spit." And then
Gross.
and he pulls over. And he's like, "I can't keep this monkey because I
Spit
don't
on
have
me.
the capability to take care of a monkey." So he
Yeah.
opens up the thing and he goes, "Look, trees,
Yeah,
like
just
your
go."
home. Get out of here."
Yeah,
And the
he's
monkey
just
runs off
completely
into the
willing
woods.
to like allow an invasive species into the ecosystem.
No,
Not really thinking about it.
I read a review, and this might speak to some of the way characters act later, that they're like, everyone in this movie is too stupid. I disagree. I think people are this dumb. I think.
Yeah. I was thinking, rewatching the movie, I was like, everyone in this movie is really dumb. But then thinking about it for the last couple weeks, I'm like, it kind of makes sense. It's probably
Some of these
pretty
people
accurate.
I've met some of these people before that
Yeah.
would. I know a guy who would release a monkey into the
Yeah, who would
woods
just be
because
like,
he's
I
just
grabbed a monkey illegally, and then this guy I know didn't want it, so I just like threw it away.
it'll survive. It's fine. I'm sure it could eat pine cones or whatever.
Yeah, monkeys can eat fruit,
And they do.
and they do eat fruit.
So while that's happening, they back at the army base or whatever, they're like, hey, like this strain is really bad. We probably shouldn't we should issue a warning. Dustin Hoffman walks back into Morgan Freeman's office and is like, hey, you really gotta like,
It's
issue a
getting
warning
bad,
on
and
this
you're
thing."
not at a party anymore.
And Morgan Freeman's like, actually, you're going to New Mexico. Sorry, pal.
Yep.
Because my boss, Donald Sutherland, said, get that man out of here. He knows too much. He's gonna figure something out.
There's no like president in this movie, so Donald Sutherland being like the head of the army, again, just very vague positions that probably don't exist, is just like, we got to get rid of this guy who's upset about one thing.
He's like, he's gonna figure out too much. It's gonna be whatever. And so he's Dustin Hoffman's always said he's got to go to New Mexico. Meanwhile, Patrick Dempsey decides to get on a plane to fly to Boston to meet his girlfriend. And this was the scene where I was just like, no, like, oh, I don't like this. And there's like a little kid dressed up as like a sheriff, and he's walking down, and Patrick Dempsey was like eating a cookie, and he took like 2 bites of it, and he's like, that's not good.
Gross.
And he puts it down on the seat next to him, which he's extremely lucky he got a whole row to himself. I gotta say. Good for Patrick Dempsey.
He's the head of the army.
Patrick Dempsey?
Patrick Dempsey.
Yeah.
I thought we were still talking about Sutherland.
Oh, no.
Patrick Dempsey, sleazeball, but it is probably this illegal animal salesman.
So he could buy a whole row.
Yeah, he probably had, like, it's that kind of thing where it's like, I don't know, like we remember, again, pandemic style, Tiger King.
Yeah.
These people who deal in weird animals have a suspicious amount of money.
That is true. It's
so,
like, they almost too much. Well, I guess, a monkey ain't cheap.
Cheap.
So they this little boy like walks up to Patrick Dempsey's chair, and he's like, can I have that cookie? And Patrick Dempsey's like, go ahead, I don't care. And just as the boy's about to touch it, his mom comes and is like, don't eat that cookie, that's gross. That man is clearly sick.
This guy's was already Patrick Dempsey, gross from the beginning of the movie, only gets grosser.
True. And he gets off the plane, and he meets his girlfriend in the very busy terminal, and he just gives her like the wettest, grossest public kiss ever. And it's
so much of this movie just is gross.
He immediately cuts to, it's like, oh, and there's 2 people in Boston that are very sick for some reason. Meanwhile, at the CDC with Dustin Hoffman's ex-wife, has the same job as Dustin Hoffman, only at the CDC. And so she's just like, hey, like I heard this rumbling from my ex-husband, this disease is kind of going around. And then these 2 people have the exact same symptoms. Get me on a plane to Boston. Flies out to Boston, tries to talk to Patrick Dempsey. Patrick Dempsey dies. And she's like, all right, well, we got to do an autopsy. And then his girlfriend is just like, oh my God, is he dead? And she's like, yeah, pretty much. Like, we got to do this autopsy. So they take Patrick Dempsey's blood and they compare it, and they ship it out to Dustin Hoffman, and he gets to take a look at it for a little bit, and he kind of realizes that this might be a different strain than their original strain. It's mutating, and it's worse. It's worse. It's got spikes on it.
Yikes!
So while they're doing this, they wait for Patrick Dempsey and his girlfriend to die, and then they do, and then they wait 24 hours, and they're like, did anyone else on the plane get sick? No. We did it, ladies and gentlemen. Like, everything's fine. Just 2 kids died. It's great.
2 kids, full-blown adults.
two full-blown adults that were probably mid to late 20s.
Are dead, and it's good.
They're dead, but it's okay because the rest of the world will be fine. And then as soon as they're having their little celebration, they get a fax saying, hey, there's like 15 people in this town in California that are extremely sick, and like, man, now we got to go to California. Meanwhile, in California, the pet shop guy, he collapses on top of his fish, and
that's terrible.
All the fish tanks explode, and the monkey screams and everything, and he's taken to the hospital. No one's wearing masks or anything at this point, so it's not airborne. It's not airborne. This is true. They take his blood as they're like trying to like resuscitate him and everything, and then his blood goes into a machine that they use for testing. And this might be the dumbest character in this movie. There's a guy who's like testing the blood, and he's like listening to a baseball game, and then that's not going his way, so he opens the lid of the blood machine and then like shoves his hand in there, and it explodes all over him. And he's like, "How did this happen?" It's like, well, you didn't.
Yeah, for some reason they make this like guy at the hospital who's probably like the real life equivalent is like one of the more trusted people in the rankings of the hospital. They make him seem like he's the janitor. like in another sci-fi movie, that character is the janitor. And
that would spill the blood.
Yeah, but like obviously they're like, okay, people won't get it if like the janitor is just carrying around the blood, so we have to just make this high-ranking hospital guy stupid.
Just the dumbest man you've ever like. He like shoves his whole hand into that machine, and then he's just like, there wasn't like HIV or or the flu or anything in there, and the other doctor's like, nah, don't worry about it, it's fine.
Good. It's fine that you just exploded an entire important machine all over yourself.
Yeah, and those poor people who got their blood taken are never going to know the results.
No, families without peace everywhere.
And so then he gets cleaned up and they send him out, and he's starting to feel sick. And he decides the next best thing for him to do is to go to a movie. And so he goes to the movie theater, and he's just like coughing over everybody. And he's coughing. He's like sweating, like clearly ill when he walked into the movie theater.
Yeah.
You wouldn't go if you had the flu. And they weren't showing like some important movie. It was like some cartoon of some sort.
Well, this guy's an idiot.
Yeah, this guy.
We
established this man.
They have to continue to prove that this guy is a giant idiot. So he's not going to see like the blockbuster hit of the summer. He's going to see a silly cartoon.
He's going to see some old 1960s cartoon, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And so then he spreads it to the people in this movie theater. And so then when Dustin Hoffman's character gets the news that there's a town of people that have been infected, they're like, where'd they get it? And he's like, they got it at a movie theater. And then there's like a bit of a pause. And I'm like, was this supposed to freak people out in 1995 when they were watching the movie?
Yeah. Yeah, it was supposed to be like smell-o-vision or something.
It's like, you're like, all infected.
Are they going to give me a disease?
And so then Renee Russo, Dustin Hoffman's ex-wife, she flies to the town to start setting up. And then she like goes to like the head of the hospital there. And she's like, guess what? I'm in charge. And he was like, you're in charge. I thought he was in charge. And then Dustin Hoffman appears. Dustin Hoffman. And Dustin Hoffman had tricked some officers into changing his flight pattern. So he's like, I'm not going to New Mexico. I'm going to California. And they're like, no. And he's just like, nope, I have orders. Don't wake up the general. It's fine. I'm going to go.
It was a different time. Airports and everything.
You can just do whatever.
Yeah.
And so he flies to this town, and then they start treating the people. And they're trying to figure things out. Cuba Gooding Jr.'s there. Kevin Spacey's there.
Yeah, in classic sci-fi movie fashion, like only 2 people know what's going on, and only like 4 people care.
And they're trying their best. Dustin Hoffman demands that all of the town go under quarantine. And if you're feeling sick, you got to put up these white little some sort of white cloth in your window. So that way the army can come and grab you from your house and take you to try to get cured. And so they're rounding up people, and you meet this woman with a family, and they're like, don't touch mommy. And then she gets into the army vehicle, and they drive her to the camp, and you just kind of see it all through her eyes. And it is kind of scary. Like this army just came and took over a town, and everyone is dying.
And it's just
and
like, and they're like abducting people, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, this is where it really felt sci-fi. Well, this is where I'm glad that didn't happen with COVID.
Right.
At least where we're from.
Right. Yeah. Everything. I'm not going to say everything was fine, but it was less weird.
It was less. Yeah, there weren't tanks patrolling the streets grabbing people from their houses.
Yeah. Yeah. At least not because of COVID.
True.
Eventually that year, stuff like that happened for other reasons that we're not going to
not because of the disease.
Right.
There were other issues that year. So Dustin Hoffman's like doing his investigation, and then some other weird patient who had like broke his leg or something just started getting sick, and they're like, he's not with the others. I don't understand how he's getting sick. And then Dustin Hoffman looks up to the air conditioner and goes, it's airborne. And so now everyone's screwed. You really can't take off these hazmat suits. And so Dustin Hoffman's all mad. They're writing things on their whiteboard, trying to solve it and trying to come up with, well, where was the host? Where's the host? And Kevin Spacey's like, go to sleep. Dustin Hoffman's like, no, I'm not going to go to sleep. You should go to sleep because I slept in July. And I guess that's supposed to be like a long time. I don't know when this takes place, but
yeah, it's very unclear. I mean, it takes place in California and like the African savanna almost exclusively. So the time of year is super vague.
It could be like August 1st and July was like yesterday.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not as impressive as you're making it out to be, Kevin Spacey. And so Kevin Spacey, or Dustin Hoffman does go to sleep, and Kevin Spacey's like doing something with the
tinkering.
Disease. Yeah, he's tinkering, and he's getting a little sleepy, and he starts to he like hits his head on the microscope, and he's losing his touch, and he walks around the corner, and the air like wire that's like attached to his hazmat suit gets caught on a corner, and it rips his suit, and he's just like, oh no. And then he like quickly unplugs himself and like runs into the hallway. And Renee Russo goes after him. She goes, are you okay, Kevin Spacey? And he was like, I just got the willies. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And
stellar lines given to Kevin Spacey throughout the movie.
Kevin Spacey is supposed to be like this comic relief character, but nothing he says is particularly funny in capacity. There's one part where he's like in their like CDC room, and they're trying to like, they're handling the disease, this very deadly disease, and he pretends to throw it at Cuba Gooding Jr. at one point, and Cuba Gooding Jr. like barely catches it, and he was like, you got fast hands, but mine are faster, and he pulls out like the real vial. It's like, you shouldn't be fooling around with that.
No, there's very little room for levity in this movie, and picking Kevin Spacey to be the actor providing comic relief is one of the many mistakes this movie made in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. But Kevin Spacey, he's sick now. You know, he's infected, and they start to, you know, he falls over while they're working one day, and they start to like treat him. They take him to the hospital, and Renee Russo is trying to like take his blood, and Dustin Hoffman's like cracking jokes to him, and Kevin Spacey's like literally dying. And he's just like, you're an idiot, Dustin Hoffman. Like joking around because they're friends.
Yeah.
And Dustin Hoffman's like, can someone get rid of this guy's sense of humor? And then he starts to convulse a little bit. Yeah. And then Renee Russo slips up, and the vial, the needle that was taking Kevin Spacey's blood accidentally pierces through her glove and infects her. And she's like, well, it's over.
I'm going to die.
That's it for me. Meanwhile,
which is not really giving much hope to Kevin Spacey, who at that point is like still alive.
Yeah, but he's
going to die,
because you die within like 48 hours or something of like getting this disease.
Yeah.
So he's like 24 hours in. So there's not a lot of time left for him.
Yeah, but like there's not even a modicum of hope tried to be given to anybody.
So Dustin Hoffman, he takes this news to Morgan Freeman, and he's like, you gotta help Morgan Freeman, like you gotta issue the warning finally. And Morgan Freeman's like, you know, I don't really know like what to tell you. And he was like, my wife is sick. And he goes, stop, you're divorced.
Stop with the wife stuff. Stop with the wife or ex-wife stuff.
And then he lets it known to to Dustin Hoffman that, hey, there was a meeting at the White House without the president there, and they've decided to blow up the whole city. So pack your things.
Yeah.
Which is the scene in the White House. I really like that scene because they're like, hey, so like the number one most recommended thing that we do right now is bomb American citizens.
Yeah.
These 2,000 American
It's just
citizens.
like openly like there's not even like a way to cover up that is what happened for them. Like in this version of the world, the best option for the government is just to actively destroy an entire American city and then be like, we did this for you.
And well, I like that like the chief of staff or whoever is like leading that meeting is like, look at these pictures. We're all going to hell, but we're going to do it anyway.
Yeah, clearly it's in other cities and other parts of the world. But if we kill all of these people, that might help.
Then people will feel better if we kill all these people. And so Dustin Hoffman is like, we gotta find the host. We gotta find the main cure. And they're like, did you know that the guy that like the second guy that was infected, like he has a pet shop? And he goes, why didn't you tell me this? And they rush to the pet shop and they steal the monkey that stole the banana earlier. And the monkey's really sick. And they start giving the monkey this experimental drug that Morgan Freeman just so happened to have on hand and started giving out to the people. Dustin Hoffman starts to uncover a conspiracy where back in the 1960s, this government, this United States, they made, like, it's a fictional place. The United States. They made the this bioweapon, and they were testing it in this village in Africa. And you kind of get this understanding that, like, Donald Sutherland will do anything to keep this under wraps, essentially.
A secret.
America has this bioweapon. And Morgan Freeman's like, listen, I apologize for withholding that information from you, but we have this now. Let's try it out. And then so they're testing it out and everything, and the monkey over time gets better. And they're like, this is great news. But we still need to find the original host. So Dustin Hoffman starts to leave with Cuba Gooding Jr. But meanwhile, Donald Sutherland lands at the base, and he's like, what's going on? Why is Dustin Hoffman here? Arrest that man. So Dustin Hoffman and Cuba Gooding Jr., they go undercover, and they're sneaking throughout the base, and they steal a helicopter. They're like, well...
Again, a different time, less security everywhere.
Yeah, they just convince it. They're like, the pilot's taking a leak, and he's like, well, we're going to go wait inside the helicopter. And they're like, okay, sure.
Okay. And then they
so
take off.
They steal this helicopter, and it flies to... They find out that that the boat that the monkey came on had just left San Francisco, so they can get there.
Right.
And so they're flying and trying to get to this boat in time. And Cuba Gooding Jr. is like, there's no way to land the helicopter. You're gonna have to jump. And this, to me, I was like, this is so funny that they're framing this jump like it's this huge action set piece of this movie. And Cuba Gooding, the jump is like maybe 10 feet. Right. Yes, it's dangerous because it's like over the water. And it's like
Dustin Hoffman's an old divorcee.
He's just forever had the body of an old man, and so like he's not doing his own stunts.
Right.
And you just see Dustin Hoffman jump from the helicopter to the boat, and I don't know, they frame it like it's this big cheer-worthy moment, and it's just like a guy jumping.
Not a lot of this movie hits the emotional beats that were clearly planned.
And maybe it was different in '95.
A lot of things were different in '95.
Movies have advanced significantly since then. Yeah. What might have been a big action set piece of a guy jumping has been topped several times.
Yeah. Often just gets topped in like WWE. People jump from far higher distances. But this is like a pivotal part of the movie that they lower Dustin Hoffman a very safe distance from a boat.
And he
jumps onto it.
And he goes and talks to the Korean crewmen, and they're like, okay, I'm a doctor, and they don't speak English for the most part, but they're like, doctor, okay. And they bring him to the guy who like took the monkey in the first place, and he's dead. And then he kind of looks around his room and he finds a photo of the monkey like taped to the guy's like bed frame.
Yeah.
It's like, did he love this monkey that
He
he's
loved the
gonna
monkey.
sell?
It was like his pet or something.
And he takes it. Justin Hoffman's like, this is the host. And so he gets back on the helicopter and they fly back to
Never
San
mind the
Francisco.
fact that it also looks like every other monkey.
Yeah, it's a pretty generic looking monkey.
Yeah,
I'll
clearly
say.
there's at least 2 monkeys in the California area. They find that there's this illegal animal trade going on. Ostensibly and likely there could be more monkeys. And Dustin Hoffman just walks in and like plot convenience just goes like, here we go, this monkey. We're gonna lock in on him, boys.
Well, we do see like several other monkeys throughout this movie, like in cages, and they look very similar. And they probably were played by the same monkey.
Yeah. And there's just no particularly distinctive features to this monkey that they are deciding to go after.
So Dustin Hoffman is a fugitive on the run at this point, and they release his photo and Cuba Gooding Jr.'s photo on the news. And just as they're, telling them that they're fugitives on the run, they break into the news station, and Cuba Gooding Jr. just pulls his gun out and is just like, "Everybody, get down! We got some news here."
Yeah, they're like vigilantes. It's really weird. They're sneaking in a helicopter.
No, it's a small one, so it's fine. Don't.
Okay, right.
I love like they're like, we have to lay low, so he's like flying it like on the highway essentially.
Yeah, no subtlety.
And it's like people would notice. People would.
Yeah.
And they break into the news station, and Dustin Hoffman gets on camera, and he's like, "Everybody, this is the monkey we're looking for." And he holds up the Polaroid to the camera, and he's like, "If you see this monkey, call this number." And he wrote down the CDC's number. And within like 10 minutes, they get a phone call. Because some girl just wakes up in the middle of the night, and there's just like a monkey at her window. And this is the monkey we are looking for, though.
Yeah.
And she drew a photo and tells her mom. He's like, "I got a pet monkey." And the mom's like, haha, that's nice. And then she takes it very seriously.
Yeah.
This mom. But thank God she did, because turns out this is the monkey we're looking for. And it's in the right area.
If you presume, which is a good idea, if you presume your child has an imaginary friend, call the army.
Call the army immediately. Because it might have something to do with the pandemic that's going on. Dustin Hoffman and Cuba Gooding Jr., they land their helicopter in the lawn of this house.
Yeah.
And,
again, they're undercover. Wanted fugitives.
And they're like, "Hey, where's the monkey?" to like the mom and the kid. And the kid's like, "The monkey will only come out if I talk to it." And Dustin Hoffman's like, "All right, please go talk to the monkey." And Cuba Gooding Jr. like camouflages himself like in a bush.
Yeah, to me, this is the best and most insane scene in the movie. Where, and I'll take this scene.
Go ahead. Yeah.
The little girl like walks out and like in a really creepy way is just like, "Come on, monkey, come here, monkey," and like they're all just like waiting with bated breath. Dustin Hoffman and the woman in the kitchen, and Cuba Gooding Jr. with like what looks like a sniper rifle in a bush in the backyard. And slowly the monkey does come out from the woods in the backyard. Cuba Gooding Jr. is trying to lock on to this monkey with his sniper rifle, but the little girl is too much in front of the monkey. So Dustin Hoffman and the mother of this child, instead of saying anything or trying to do anything, are just like, "We hope you're good at this, Cuba. Don't shoot this little girl." And luckily, Cuba Gooding Jr. is an excellent shot, and like just barely like over the shoulder of this little girl shoots the monkey with like a blow dart, basically.
Yeah.
Out of the sniper rifle. And yeah, like even though like the monkey is clearly smaller and shorter than the little girl, it goes like over her shoulder into the monkey. And they catch the monkey.
They catch the monkey and they just put it in a bag. I thought maybe they would have like a cage or something. They just
they're fugitives on the run. They don't have all their tools.
This is true. And they get back in their helicopter with the monkey and they start to fly away. Meanwhile, Donald Sutherland and his lackeys, I'll call them, in two
Yeah.
different helicopters. He's like, hey, you're gonna come with me to this army base right now. And Dustin Hoffman's like, F you.
Not gonna
I'm not
happen.
coming. And then there's this quite long helicopter chase
A
sequence.
very long chase scene where, like, a lot of the time, because it's like air travel, it's like hard to gauge that they're going particularly fast. So like it's not much of a chase scene so much of it's like a bob and weave scene.
Yeah, they're just kind of like going in different directions. And every time they cut back to Cuba Gooding Jr. and Dustin Hoffman, you could tell they're like on a soundstage, like,
Yeah.
with like a projection behind them. Because like Cuba Gooding Jr. at one point does this like insane stunt where he like pulls up and like flips around or something.
Yeah.
And you just see the camera just kind of tilt. And then Dustin Hoffman's like, you can't do that. It's like, you didn't move.
Yeah. And in this area of California that like cannot actually exist because they're like flying through this like beautiful sunny like forest, like woods, but like they were just in the suburbs. Like, where is this place? There's like
Listen,
waterfalls and rocks and stuff.
I've never been to the Bay Area, but I don't think it looks like this.
Yeah, I really don't think that San Francisco or Oakland have that kind of fauna and environment available just mere seconds away from the suburbs.
And so this chase sequence goes on for what feels like 10 minutes. It goes
It's
on
so
for
long.
a while.
Because like
Not-
shockingly little happens for the majority of it.
Yeah, but like, you know, give them credit. Like, this was before like CGI and stuff, so this was had to be done practically, and they're flying real low and flying big helicopters under bridges and stuff, and so I'll give them credit for that. But feels weird in this pandemic movie that we're doing.
Yeah, we're
But-
doing these crazy things.
And so Cuba Gooding Jr. eventually shakes them and loses them, and Donald Sutherland's like, damn it, where could they be heading? Obviously the town. Like, and Cuba Gooding Jr. like lands the helicopter like literally right in front of the hospital, and Dustin Hoffman's like, go make the cure. And so like he runs inside, and Dustin Hoffman runs into the hospital, and he sees his wife, and ex-wife, and she's, you know, she's getting real sick. She's got the red on her face, and she's starting to hit that mid stage of this, whatever this disease is.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, don't worry. And he like takes off his hazmat suit.
Hazmat helmet.
And he like forces her to put her hands on his face. And then she's like, why did you do that? That was weird.
Yeah.
And then she's like, it's kind of romantic, I guess. And Cuba Gooding Jr. like runs and he goes, here it is. And he like hooks it up and they give it to her.
Yeah,
And
things
then-
move fast in this movie.
Way too fast, because remember, there is a bomb on the way.
Yeah.
That's going to blow up this town. And so it starts to work almost instantly. She's feeling better. So Dustin Hoffman rushes to Morgan Freeman. He's like, you got to call off the bomb. And Morgan Freeman's, listen, I could buy you some time. That's all I can really do. And so Dustin Hoffman's like, that's not good enough.
Which is,
And instead of-
terrible compromise.
And so Dustin Hoffman gets on the helicopter with Cuba Gooding Jr. again, which I thought they were done with, but they're not.
Yeah, they are
They
not.
get up into the sky and they're like, we gotta contact the bomber. And Dustin Hoffman like calls the bomber on the radio and is like, listen, I got a cure. Like, you're not gonna believe, like, you don't drop the bomb. Like, you know this is a bad idea. And they like don't respond because they're trained not to. And Donald Sutherland's like, keep going, actually. Please bomb this city.
Yeah, kill everybody.
Kill everybody. And Morgan Freeman gets on the mic at one point and he's like, listen, you idiot, if you happen to block the bomber and stop their path, like, you know, you'll be in a hell of a lot of trouble, mister. And Donald Sutherland's like, what are you, an idiot, Morgan Freeman? You just told him the plan. And he realizes, yeah, he just told him the plan. And so they fly up and they get into the path of the bomber. You know, they kind of shake him. The bomber goes up in the air, kind of flips around, goes the other way. And they're like, we did it. We saved the day. And they still push the bomb out anyway. And they're like, oh no. But it just so happens to hit the water on the other side of town. And it blows up in the water. The day is saved. Everyone is cured. Dustin Hoffman like gets back together with his wife, I guess.
Yeah, unclear, but that was probably the goal.
And Donald Sutherland is relieved from his command by Morgan Freeman
And arrested.
and arrested, and then the movie just basically ends. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's where we're ending it.
Yeah, they cure the pandemic in about 15 minutes.
Like, oh, all we needed was this monkey.
Yeah,
It's fine. Well,
that they found very quickly.
that's the movie Outbreak, which was it's a weird time capsule. Like, it's very of the 90s.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it. I thought I was gonna hate it. I thought it was gonna be a bummer all the way through, and it is a bummer. But then it just takes these weird leaps in logic, and like
Yeah, it's like a subtle, so bad it's good kind of movie, where it's like so much of it is so stupid, but it's entertaining enough to keep your attention basically the whole time.
yeah, just some little fun facts I found here. This movie was written for Harrison Ford, and he turned
That makes
it down.
sense.
And then it was offered to Sylvester Stallone, and he turned it down.
Makes
And
sense.
then Dustin Hoffman came aboard.
Insane that those two actors thought they were above this movie, and Dustin Hoffman thought he was not.
Who normally would the director was like, I was really excited to get Dustin Hoffman because like he's not the guy you normally see saving the world. And I guess that speaks to his like one stunt, which is the little jump that we talked about.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what's the most you could do? And he was like, I'll jump like 10
Yeah.
feet.
Like in this movie, like in the right hands and the right cast, this movie is like sort of more Independence Day-ish and
Mhm.
becomes more like good, like corny good and rewatchable. But because it's full of these like prestige actors, it's just like really, really weird.
Yeah. It has 4 Academy Award winners.
Yeah.
Most have problems.
Yeah. Most of them, yeah, problematic figures.
But the monkey in this movie was played by a monkey named Katie.
It's beautiful.
And Katie's other big role, was Marcel the monkey on Friends.
Oh.
So she's been around. Which
So she
apparently
worked.
there's a joke like on the last episode that features Marcel on Friends where the monkey gets big and famous and then shoots Outbreak 2. Like I think they call it Outbreak in Manhattan or something like that. Which
And
would
I
be
think
horrifying.
I think they should make it.
Yeah, get Dustin Hoffman back. All these people are still
Get everyone
around.
back. Yeah, none of the cast
Well,
is
Kevin
dead.
Spacey died in the movie, so you don't have to worry about getting him back.
Right, yeah, thank God.
And so, like, everyone else can come back and do a sequel. It'd be a weird sequel, but they could do it.
Yeah.
Revenge of Donald Sutherland. He releases this
Yeah, he
Antigen
uses the
on America.
bioweapon again.
a man who's 1,000 years old just releases this. It's like,
Yeah,
my last,
unclear whether they like kill the monkeys or what they do with the monkeys. So maybe they just let them back out by accident.
Yeah, like, oh, you're good. I feel like, unfortunately, this monkey has to be put down because it is
Yeah.
carrying a deadly disease.
Right. Yeah, or if we are going based off this history, maybe people see the monkey's, what is effectively the monkey's headshot on the news, and this monkey becomes a famous actor.
Yeah, probably. You know, that's more likely.
Because they have the cure. They cured the first monkey.
That's true. Oh, I guess you could. In a way, I don't know. I'm no scientist. I don't know how this works.
And neither was anybody in this movie, even the characters, really.
This movie originally ended with. I guess this is why this ending feels just so abrupt, and then the movie's just over. Is the movie originally ended apparently with the town exploding by the bomb, and test audiences were like, "No."
But with all the same problems get solved.
I don't know. It's so on the IMDb trivia, they were like, the bomb that explodes in the ocean was scripted to explode over the town, vaporizing it. They did the effects for the sequence showcasing the destruction, but test screenings forced the filmmakers to reshoot the ending with the town now being saved. So,
Right.
so
Ultimately the right decision, but clearly a decision that they did not care at all about, because the movie does, like you're saying, just kind of end.
it just everyone just has like a brief, quick conversation, and then I was like, "There's no falling action here. It's just
they just kind of go like, well, I guess things are good, and then the credits roll.
Well, yeah, there's not a lot of other trivia on this movie that's
Yeah.
particularly interesting. It's just a bunch of people that like said no to it.
It's not a very
Meryl
popular
Streep.
movie. It's not a popular movie then or now, But I think about this movie a lot because I was shown this movie for the first time in sophomore year biology class, where because it is a shockingly long movie, it took like 2 weeks for us to watch. And then we took a quiz about it. And the quiz was really just about the movie. It had very little to do with any biology. It was just sort of like about the plot of the movie. And that's what biology class was like for my sophomore.
And so then you had to retake that quiz for today for my podcast.
Yeah. And then just like because of that experience, I thought about the experience a lot because this is an insane thing for a teacher to do. But then also just like an insane movie for them to pick to show because the movie is so weird.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's also rated R. I know that's like fine. You can show some stuff. Like,
Well, it's because
I think there's
gross.
it's gross and there's one F word in it. So
Yeah.
really, this movie would be PG-13 today. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen grosser things at like PG-13 movies.
Yeah.
It's just such an interesting. Like this is now the second movie where we deal with like a disease and monkeys are like the cause of the disease. The other being the Planet of the Apes movies. Right. And there's just a correlation there, I guess. Or people just were like, you know what's the craziest thing that could possibly happen? Because this was all pre-pandemic. What if monkeys spread this thing?
Well, there is this weird like obsession with the myth that like monkeys spread a lot of different diseases early on. There was like the AIDS monkey theory and the Ebola monkey theory. So there's just always been this sort of prevalence where it's like, if an animal is going to spread disease, it's going to be monkeys.
It's going to be
For some reason, everyone was just sold on like monkeys, or although they are like super close to being like people, are the grossest animal and are filled to the brim with disease. It was never rats. It was never vermin. It was never insects. It was always a monkey in fiction and in the minds of many. And
that's where we're at today. And I think people still are probably like, monkeys are disgusting. I wouldn't touch one.
Which is so weird because monkeys are so popular too. Like everyone's like, oh, I want to like hang out with a spider monkey. Like I want to hug a gorilla. But at the same time are like, monkeys are disgusting, vile creatures that have spread every terrible disease on this planet.
And will kill us
except
all.
Except for COVID, which was spread by bats, we think. Which, again, may or may not have happened.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Katie the monkey in this movie. She gives a pretty decent performance.
Yeah, I mean, as far as a real live animal goes, clearly very cooperative.
Yeah, well, like, also reading that trivia, like, they trained her to do a lot of stuff. Yeah. So, like, the scene where she spits on Patrick Dempsey, like, what they would do is they would like shoot a syringe of water into her mouth and they would be like, hold, and then they would give the cue and then it would spit. Like, yeah,
monkeys are smart.
Yeah, like you could like they for the scene where the Cuba Gooding Jr. shoots her, like if they were like, if you notice, like they don't never show like the actual monkey getting shot, but like they had to like train her to like go to a particular mark and like hold the apple in a particular way. So that way, like, it would be good on frame. So, like, she,
she was an actor. She's an actor.
And, like, listen, she got a nice little guest role on Friends afterwards. So
yeah, which is great. She worked. She was a real actor. She could do film and television, which, not
everyone can do.
Some people can't do. So it's a great showcase for real monkeys, which I feel like is important for this podcast.
Another fun monkey fact here is Capuchins are from South America and not Africa, so this movie is not.
Yeah, what I originally thought was a sealed and locked, perfectly scientifically accurate movie already.
It's destroyed.
Now it's called into question because they used monkeys that were not from the right place.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much else to really say about her. I mean, she does her monkey thing. Yeah, she's in it a lot more than I thought it was going to be, and she's on the poster, which can
I really do consider this an actual monkey movie.
No,
monkeys are really important. Get shown a lot. They're pivotal to the plot.
No, this is if this is a new rating system here, real monkey movie.
Real monkey movie. Because from what you've told me about other people's proposed films, some of them eventually are not going to be like full-on monkey movies.
Correct. Yes.
Or some of them might feature a monkey, but it has little to do with the plot. I don't know if Pirates of the Caribbean plans on being brought up at all.
Yes, it does in the future.
So
yeah, not.
We're gonna have to introduce that rating system because monkeys show up in a lot of movies, but they don't really matter. This real monkeys show up and they do matter.
And they do matter. Monkey matter.
Monkeys matter.
Monkeys matter. So let's talk about what this movie would be if we were to take the monkey out of the movie.
Sure.
So would there still be a disease?
Yeah, I feel like you could really easily replace the monkey with any other animal. Again, like I said, like rats do sort of spread a lot of common diseases. So it could really easily be that. And like so much of the movie takes place in America, which again is a very 90s action movie kind of thing where it's like this world issue is only happening here. And so if they really wanted to keep it America-centric, the rat would make way more sense. Rats show up in California a lot, in New York City a lot, in Boston a lot. I feel like it could have easily been a rat, or if they wanted to keep the international flair, a bug. But the disease ends up being airborne anyway, so it also could have just been nothing. And it also was a bioweapon. So it could have been that they shot it and it was airborne, and that's what happened. They didn't even need a monkey.
The monkey not that important when we
but the writers were like, this movie needs a monkey.
Needs a monkey because it's falling apart. We need Patrick Dempsey to do something stupid, and if Patrick releases a bug, well, that's not as fun.
That looks dumb. Why would he be going to buy bugs?
No one's buying bugs.
Yeah. Even though Patrick Dempsey's such a gross character, easily could have been nipped by a rat. Like he looks gross all the time.
True. He was working in a warehouse.
They could have given him a gross apartment, something like that. But no, they felt that like this needs to be a monkey movie.
I just think it would be funny if the monkey was what was truly like carrying this disease, and the monkey wasn't in it, so the disease doesn't exist. The world is fine except for Dustin Hoffman, who's still having divorce.
Yeah. This also, if you remove the monkey and that was the only option, then this movie is just about a soldier who specializes in disease, who is really upset that his ex-wife wants to take his dogs to Georgia, which, they've made movies like that, and they could have then, but they were like, okay, what if this movie about a divorcee had a monkey that spreads disease that makes the government want to carpet bomb San Francisco?
Town. Yeah. I think if that was the movie, Harrison Ford would have signed on. He would have been like, you know what?
He might have. Or Sly Stallone would have been like, this could be my dramatic thing. But then they were like, actually, we're going to put a lot of carpet bombing America into this movie. And he was like,
they said, no thanks. No, give that one to Hoffman. He needs that.
Yeah, let Dustin handle that one.
He just did Kramer versus Kramer.
What the drama would have done for Harrison Ford and Sly Stallone, Dustin Hoffman thought this movie would do for him in terms of diversifying what he brings to the table.
Do you think he came out of this and he's like, I'm an action star?
I feel like probably at some point while shooting those couple of scenes, I'm sure he thought that before, but while shooting the scene where he just like jumps a few feet, basically jumps like out of a first story window.
That is basically what it is.
And also sits on a soundstage in like a flight simulator. I feel like he probably at some point realized like, oh, this might not do as much for me as an action star as I thought it might have. I don't think it took for him seeing the movie to realize that.
It's like, that's not I'm going to go do Meet the Fockers or something after this.
Yeah. I might just go back to my bread and butter, actually.
So, Des, let's ask the main question here. Is this a monkey see, monkey do, or a monkey see, monkey don't?
I think, personally, it's a monkey see, monkey do, because I am personally fascinated by like massive movies that just do not work at all. So like in terms of, I every once in a while watch a so bad that it's good movie, and I think that this kind of works in that realm. It's like one of the most like insane, just like Saturday afternoon, like basic cable movies, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. There are a lot of enjoyable scenes in this movie. I think it's a monkey see, monkey do as well. It is crazy, and it's this has been a nice change of pace because I've been watching strictly like franchise movies.
Yeah,
so
you've
far.
been watching like good cinema on this podcast.
Well, I was watching. I watched all the recent Planet of the Apes movies, which were pretty solid, and then like I was watching Tarzan. I watched the King Kong, like recent King Kong versus Godzilla movies, which are insane in different ways. And it was nice to watch something that was just like very of its era and just like, oh, this was people being like, wouldn't it be crazy if this happened?
Yeah, it's a real snapshot of like, just like, this formula works. We can do it with anything. Just like get some famous people, get a vaguely reality-based sci-fi plot and let them cook. And everyone is trying in this movie and just like actively failing. And it's pretty fascinating. So if you want to see a lot of like pretty talented people just like try really hard and fail, you can watch Outbreak from 1995.
I was looking up the director of this movie, Wolfgang Peterson. Rest in peace. He died in 2022. He also directed The Never-Ending Story and Das Boot, the TV miniseries about a submarine.
Okay.
And Air Force One with Harrison Ford. So he did get to live his dream.
Yeah, okay. This does feel sort of like an Air Force One kind of movie. Yeah,
it's the same vibe as that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's so strange. It's just such a strange,
weird movie.
Weird thing.
Because it's not even like the traditional so bad it's good, where it's like bad performances, bad writing, bad directing. I mean, there's bad writing, but like everything else is like pretty fine, but it's just so weird that not a single minute of it like works. And I think that's why I continue to be fascinated by it to this day. It's just like, it shouldn't make a bad movie, but just like consistently nothing that happens in it makes any sense.
I'm going to have to go back and rewatch Contagion at some point and kind of compare these two, because I think Contagion, like, this movie takes it very seriously, but then there's also like you're saying, there's like unserious moments in it.
Yeah, there's nothing realistic about it. They literally cure this
in like 5 minutes.
About 5 minutes, like, and not even like watch time 5 minutes, like movie reality 5 minutes. Dustin Hoffman tells Cuba Gooding Jr., "Go, go, go." And then after like a pretty brief conversation with his ex-wife, Cuba Gooding Jr. is like, "I got it." And he's not like an established scientist. Literally like a week ago, he saw these people with a disease he's never heard of and threw up all over himself. He's like the new guy, and he cooks up the cure in about 5 minutes. So like, it is not really a proper pandemic movie.
Well, I want to ask you, do you like monkeys, Des?
I feel strange about monkeys. I think that they are cute, but there is something really uncanny about them because they're so remarkably close to being people.
Yeah, for sure. I get that. Yeah, especially like rewatching these Planet of the Apes and like Kong movies and everything. Like they are doing everything in their power to make them like seem like people instead of just like, oh, that's just a separate. And in Tarzan, they're literally talking and just people.
Yeah, I think there are certain kinds of monkeys that I feel less sort of creeped out by, like orangutans and like spider monkeys, ones that look more like animals. But then there's like gorillas and the generic type of monkey that like stars in Planet of the Apes that look way more close to people. Those kind of freak me out. Like gorillas know sign language, like gorillas like can basically talk, so that's freaky. But there are certain monkeys that I'm okay with because they're stupid.
And that's where that's an official stance.
Yeah, that I'll defend that.
Well, is there anything you want to promote or anything you want to discuss. You know, you're one of the hosts on Quickies, which is a
if you are listening to this and you think I'm silly, go follow Quickies at Quickies Show on Instagram and TikTok. I am also now a stand-up comedian doing shows in New York City, baby, if you live in New York City. I'm guessing this is going to come out after the few shows that I have booked at the moment, but I'll be damned if I don't do more of them at some point. So follow me on Instagram at Des Lombardo for show dates.
All right. Well, follow Des on his social media. I want to thank you for joining us on the show today, Des. I appreciated it. This was a good suggestion that's been like 3 months in the works to get it done.
I'm glad I got you to watch this movie.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you're also a fellow person who's really fascinated by movies that go terribly wrong.
I love a movie that goes to. I love like learning all about the behind the scenes on particular movies. I wish there was more on this one.
Yeah,
but there wasn't. But I remember like when you came and visited the one time, or one of the times you came and visited, and like I made you watch that movie about the documentary about the curse of La Mancha. The Don Quixote.
I loved that.
And I just remember like this made me so upset the entire time.
Yeah.
It's if is another recommendation. It's not a monkey movie, but watch the documentary "The Curse of La Mancha." It is,
it's insane.
It's fascinating about this movie where everything that possibly could go wrong absolutely goes wrong.
Yeah, I might have to look for like a DVD of this movie to see if there's like a bonus feature of the making of. Even though I know they'll frame it as like a positive, I feel like we'll maybe get some nuggets and find some stuff out about it, and maybe I can report back later if that happens.
We'll do a sub episode. Behind the scenes of Outbreak. So thank you again for joining us. Thank you all for listening. I want to thank Elias for our logo. If you want to support the show in some capacity, I have an Amazon affiliate link in the description below. Just buy Outbreak on DVD and let us know if there is a DVD bonus.
And check the bonus features.
If you want, you could also give us a 5-star review on your podcaster of choice, whether that be Spotify or Amazon Music. If you're listening on YouTube, like and subscribe. I hate doing that, but it's the only way to keep people engaged and the algorithm to potentially throw us onto some people's like
there you go
For You pages. Des, do you have a fun way you want to close out the show?
That's me as a monkey.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Bye.